saying hi to
Hi.
everyone that's tuned in.
Hi, everyone.
How you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm getting there. I'm feeling like this is so relevant to my dog Rosie, like our conversation, because she is so needy that I just need to figure out what's going on with her, other than the fact that she's a staffy.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Perfect person for you to talk to.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us. I saw you come up in, I think it was like the Bondi Babes or Bondi Business in Women or something or other, and we connected via that.
Yes.
Because I saw that you're a communicator, and I can't say that I've ever been to like a medium or a psychic or any Reiki healing or anything like that. So I was so inquisitive, I guess, when it pertained to animals. Like, so tell me a little bit about what it is that you do so everyone else is kind of in line with us.
Okay. So as an animal communicator, the first thing is I don't replace a vet, so I would work in conjunction with one. And what I do is I communicate with animals on an energetic level. So telepathically using all of my senses. So I can get like images from them. I can feel, I can hear, and it may not be all of them all at once, but those senses will all be used, like
Yeah.
taste, and an animal will have its primary sense, but I use all of my senses to get the information, if that makes sense, in a session, depending what it is.
Yeah.
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 And I am a psychic medium as well, so I do work with humans as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I talk to passed over animals, like using my
Yeah, so
mediumship.
would that be, because I was going to say, like, do you do it to, I guess, current, you do it with, yes, Rosie, you do it with, sorry, you do it with past animals and you do it with the living, I guess, as well.
Correct.
So what do you tend to
Correct.
get more of?
Sorry, you dropped out a little bit there,
Oh,
right on
sorry.
the important part.
Oh, what do you tend to get more of? Like, who tends to reach out to you more? Pet owners that their animals have passed, or pet owners that are kind of dealing with their animal at the moment and just not feeling like their energy's right?
I would say pretty much half.
Yeah.
And passed over animals are one of my favorites. Although the sessions are, can be quite intense, but that I'm very empathetic, so I really like that I can be that safe space and healing for my clients.
Yeah.
And then with living, if there's anxiety or like I'm working at the moment doing an emergency session, because I know I said I was, yes, so I'm still working on that one. So that like this animal is like sick, so I will do like a body scan. So from my perspective, or from the animal's perspective, I will give now the owner information on how the animal, like how she's feeling. So that they're also really good too, because it helps them make a decision with the vet on what they're going to do, because it might be that she needs to be euthanized. So I never make that decision for them, but I give them information.
I guess look, to be honest, I think that would have come in handy in my situation that I had. I think last year I have a 15-year-old Maltese who just goes and goes and goes, and she doesn't give up, and like health-wise. And she got really sick for 2 weeks last year. And I said my goodbyes, and I went to, I took her down the beach and we did all of that. And then I took her to the vet, and miraculously she kind of walked. But I was sitting on the fence for so long that I look back and go, holy crap, I could have put her down, but she was going to make a comeback. And I just like, I think about that decision all the time, that it was only like a split decision away, because obviously the vets couldn't figure out what was wrong with her, and it would have just been nice to get a little bit of like a third party insight, right? Oh, thank you.
Correct.
She's going to take Rosie. Oh, sorry. She's, if she's not being patchy, she's a little crazy.
She wants your attention.
All the time.
My cat does that sometimes too, so don't worry. So that's exactly where there's like that whole, probably not the exact terminology, but there's that gap there where an animal communicator can feel more on the emotional level, especially. So that's where I not only I'm helping the animal, which I love, but supporting the owner. And I've used animal communicators before I became one myself, like before I became
Oh, did you? And so how did you kind of, because that was obviously going to be a question of mine too, like how did you get into this? But I guess what was your reasoning for first visiting a professional?
It was to get help with, and I used like for several different animals and different circumstances that I had, and I just loved how I had support from a professional to give me information with my animal. I used it for I think 3 different animals. Yeah, so that's what kind of inspired me, and I've always had like a natural kind of sense to help and counsel people. And I'm always been close to animals as well. So to be able to have a job that I do that and use kind of my natural abilities with the training, of course.
I love that you use that term counsel as well, because our animals are such a big part of our lives that if anyone has lost one, they know, like it's devastating. And sometimes I feel like we don't get the support that we need off the people around us because they're not necessarily animal people too, or they just see them as animals, where if they're your animal, we see them as family. And like they live up to, some of them 20 years you're stuck with them for. So, not just having them around. So counselling is I just love that you use that kind of term there with that. So
yeah, because being a healer, and that's why I like that I've studied like the Reiki energy healing. So, that then I can also offer that to my client if they want.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are other professionals. Like I do know a lady that does just grief counseling for pets. She's amazing. So if it's more expensive help that they need, then I can, I know that's the good thing about coming to a professional. We also have outlets for other professionals where we can't cover. So obviously it is very healing for my clients, the sessions that I do.
Yeah.
And I always assess someone with a passed over animal before doing it, like on how early.
Yeah.
Like, because the whole idea is that it helps them heal, not causes them more grief. So my sessions are always about that. They leave feeling better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're communicating with like an animal that has passed over, give us a little bit of an insight on that experience and how like that would go between you and the client and the passed over animal. Like how does I'm so curious about that.
Okay. Well, with my sessions, I can work with a photo. So I don't need to be there, obviously, with a passed over animal. I can't. But even with living, I just worked with a client in France last week. So
oh, wow.
Actually 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's 2 weeks. Yeah, about 2 weeks. Yeah, so I do have overseas clients as well. So that's the great thing about using a photo. So with a passed over animal, I will use a photo. The client will give me questions, and I can do that by telephone, Zoom, or email. So I offer, and each person kind of has their own need in what they want. Email, you kind of can keep it and read it, but some people like the telephone. So they will give me questions that I will then ask so that the client gets what they need out of the session. That's the most important thing. So common sort of questions would be, and these are very important, like a lot of people can feel guilt, like what you were discussing, right? Like, was it the right time? And that's really hard.
Yeah.
And honestly, it usually always, it is the right timing, everyone kind of going into a deeper level. Animals pick when they need to go, and there's all different circumstances. So they will ask something like that. Are you still in pain? How are you feeling now? Is there someone that, like, who are they with?
Mm-hmm.
What are they doing? Depending on the time frame also, because if it's very early on, they'll be more centered about how the animal's feeling. If it's because I've done them like a year or more later. So that will be more about what the animal is doing now.
Yeah.
And who they're with, and so the animal will show me where they are now. So it depends. Also, I always like to help every client, so I will always respect what they believe. But obviously, most people that come and see me are spiritually minded.
Sure.
But I'm always aware of what someone else would terminalize that. So I would say like heaven, or on the other side, they pass through the light and then they go to the other side.
Okay. Yeah. So when you say you kind of say where they are, it's like do you pick like it could be, you know, they're by the ocean or they're by a tree, or is that kind of how it goes?
Yeah. A lot of the time, and this is a really good sign, because that's another question a lot of people will ask, what are the signs that they're showing me? And a lot of the time because I would probably, you know, even do it myself sometimes, you know, though doing my work now, I'm very more open to it, because we'll be like, oh no, it's not real. And I'm like, no, it is. Like, the subtle signs are the real signs. So yeah, they may go to where their favorite place was, even on Earth, but they'll show it there. But everything is more vivid. Like, that's what they usually show me. Everything, the senses, like, so the colors are brighter. It's like really bright. So yeah, the ocean, or, you know, a garden. So it'll be sort of to that client's needs, I guess. So that's why. So the animal is giving me information, so the client knows it is their animal, if that makes sense as well.
So it's kind of like legit what you're saying as well. Like,
that's right.
Yeah. So they know it relates to their pet. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Although there can be common things, because obviously a lot of animals do like the beach, but yeah, it'd usually be where they've sort of spent a lot of time, and then that's where they are on the other side, like in their own version of it.
Yeah. That's so fascinating. So is it do animals, when they pass over, is their kind of spirit and soul still about the place? Like, is it still around the owner, do you think? Or do they kind of go off and then you just connect with them? Or do you think that they kind of stay around their owner, like the energy?
Yeah, from my experience, so they will, and even humans do that on a soul level. So they'll stay around a little bit, as in they haven't passed through the light yet. And then once they do, they can still come back. That doesn't mean they can't come back. But once they do that, then usually the grieving process can start, because the grieving will feel lighter. If that makes sense.
Oh, okay.
Because once the animal passes over to the other side, they can also offer so much more, which is really good when I tell my clients that, how much they can actually do for you on the other side. So yes, you can't see them physically, and that loss is massive.
Yeah.
And it's underestimated. There's research actually to show that losing an animal is actually more significant to you and shouldn't be downplayed than sometimes a human. So that's really important to remember, and people shouldn't take it lightly, you know, and every grieving process is different. So sorry, I forgot what you even asked me. Oh yeah, so they'll pass over and they'll go through the light. That's sort of the terminology. And I even sometimes have to help some animals pass over through that.
And why would that be? Is that because they're attached to their owner, or they just their energy finds it harder to cross over?
Yeah, there could be different circumstances, and I know from my own experience with clients, I had one particular cat that didn't want to, and I had to go through quite a bit of a process, but it's all learning as well for me too. So, and it was really traumatic on the owner actually. So I just had to, really work with them both. So yeah, the cat didn't want to leave the owner. So sometimes there's different circumstances.
That would be my Rosie. My Rosie just wouldn't want to leave me. She would haunt me when she was dead, I reckon. That's how neat she is.
And it's just so heavy on the owner. So when you explain, there could be a combination of things. Like it would be, unique to each kind of relationship, because it would depend. Just like with healing in life, the person might have a trauma behind something and the animal, so I work with both, or it might be just the animal. So same with passed over. But or it may be really fast, so they may not realize sometimes. Even though on a soul level the animal will know it's time, but we're still, just like we as humans, they're an animal on Earth, so it's that transition, and they might need to be reminded. So then
and so what about, all right, so that's with passed over animals. What about working with clients where their animals are still fit and healthy, but there's just there's energy that's just not right there, or maybe they have some symptoms, I don't know, some depressive symptoms or something like that. How do you work with those types of cases, I guess? Like how would that go? Or what are the common themes that you see there with people and their pets?
So with anxiety and things like that, and like I don't diagnose as such either, like as an animal communicator, like I do work to a code of ethics, and so that's very important. And we, we're very respectful of every other industry like the vet. So I can tell the owner then, like if they think, oh, my dog has anxiety or my cat, or separation anxiety, or like even with moving to a new home, or maybe you've got a new family member, or there's changes. And, like I've been working with a cat this year, and she was rescued. So I helped them at the adjustment with the owner and the cat, settling her in. Then she also had a hospital visit this year, so I communicated with the cat like throughout the week, like checked in, and then I emailed the client. So she knows, because the cat was, while she was in hospital, the cat was in boarding.
Right.
So I comfort the cat. So that's one circumstance where I can do that, like when they're even in boarding, and then the owner has cat's perspective on how they're feeling.
Gotcha.
And also I can do healing. Gotcha. So I'm helping the cat or the animal as well.
Yeah.
So I also do home visits. So generally, if it's like behavioral and emotional, like I do home visits as well. And I'm actually a qualified dog trainer, which I just finished that training. So
congratulations.
I kind of can combine that.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I can combine that with my session. So I wanted to do that, so I just had obviously more experience and be able to combine that. I'm not,
And that's a really unique value proposition, I think, that you can assist your clients with as well. Because I don't imagine that combination would come along.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, I like that, so then I can go in and speak from the animal's perspective, because sometimes we may think it's why they're doing it. It's like it's the same kind of similar with a person, right? Like we make an assumption, but until you ask that person, you don't really know. So it's the same with your animal. So it's just, and then you can actually work on it because you know what the issue is, because we're only kind of guessing without.
Oh, yeah. And I have to say that's, I guess, you especially, I have 2 rescues, so, and I don't know their history. Like, I really don't. They came out of pounds, so no one kind of knows anything about their story. And I'm so curious about their damn story. Like, just because they're rescued, it doesn't mean that they were abused or anything like that, but I can tell that they've both had puppies, and, one of them, Chloe, I'm her 3rd home. I know that through like registration records, but I would just like to know a little bit more about their story. Like, why are they like they are?
Yeah. And that's where I can help. And you'll find a lot of that, especially if they're really happy in their home now, they don't like to talk about it too much, but for the owner to understand and for us to be able to then help them.
Yeah.
That's a really good indicator on that. And see, even doing healing sessions, because I've done healing with 2 cats where one was a rescue and one was already there. And so all I did was healing sessions. I didn't do sort of animal communication, but that was enough to actually help the new cat settle in with the one that was already there.
Because that can be an adjustment when you bring in another pet or even a baby. There can be lots. Yeah.
That's right. So that's where I can, with animal communication, explain to the animal, even with moving, give them notice before you move, because cats can go missing a lot of the time. So it's preparing them. Like, it's hard on a human to move, and we know we're moving. So imagine what it does for your animal. Also, I've worked with a dog that was burnt in the Bargo bushfires, so 2019 the end. So this case was really I love all my sessions, but it was very dear to my heart. So she was found, and the lady that found her then kind of rescued her because she had a previous owner, but she had really bad burning on her paw. So she came to me after she had surgery on her paw, which was the first time they've ever done this surgery. So they had to fix her pads. So I did communication and healing, and I've worked with her for over about a year now. It'll be almost a year. and her confidence increased. So it helped with that, plus the healing of her core. So that's a really interesting one and rewarding.
Yeah,
to be
I
able to
imagine it would be.
Yeah, because it was a really traumatic for the owner as well, because it was a massive surgery.
Yeah.
So I can give pain levels. Yeah, so I could give her pain levels on how her dog was feeling from the dog's perspective, and that's what I do with the body scans, or like the healings with the in-depth body scan. I can give that, so we know, oh yeah, that medication, how they're feeling with that, or if there's a complementary one that we can give as well, providing you check with the vet. That doesn't affect them. So that's kind of how I can help different animals.
So what's your so speaking of like herbal medicine and things like that, what's your take on herbal medicine or alternative? Obviously, again, like you're not a vet and things like that, but with your experience, is it something that you found helpful because you go with like the energy perspective, and then you've got your natural ingredients and your remedies over here? Is that something that?
Yes.
Yeah.
In my sessions, I do. And I mean, even for my own self, like I'm, very much into alternative as well. We always need a doctor, we always need a vet, and I feel it is moving that way, where we can all work together, because that's how we want it ultimately. So I definitely
I agree. Like I still go to my doctor and stuff. Like I take antidepressants, which I'm quite comfortable with taking, and I would not take them, but I also supplement them with lots of vitamins and certain food groups and things like that, because I know how much like food impacts us, like with our bodies and things like that. So I don't see why we shouldn't be using it as alternative medicine as well. So maybe together with traditional medicine and then the alternative.
Correct. Yeah. So that's how my sessions are really like, I live holistically. That's how I do my sessions. It's like on holistic level, I try to help them. So depending on what's wrong, like especially with anxiety or emotional issues, there are definitely recommendations that I'll suggest. To my clients. That that I know that can help. And then it's up to them. I like to give several options. And then they can make, because then they can make the decision. And then and also the healing sessions that I do, like the energy healing.
So if I guess some viewers were wanting to look at alternative medicine or herbal medicine or whatnot, are there some places or websites that you would recommend where like I could just go and check things out? But say for my dog Rosie, that she's got anxiety, and the alternative would be to put her on Valium, but I wouldn't mind trying something else. So where would I start searching, I guess?
Okay, so like the bark flower remedies are really good, but we wouldn't want anything with alcohol. So you have to make sure that it's suitable for your animal. And I think it's a great alternative to do that, providing, like I said, if they've seen a vet for something, or like a vet behavioralist, just like a human, you don't want to take them off. You don't want to go off medication without monitoring everything. So I would always recommend that if they're on something already, please check the vet first. But they're good alternatives. Using like flower remedies, and there's a couple of different sort of places that I would recommend. Off the top of my head, I wouldn't remember. I'd go to my reference list once we're in a session, and I would then, kind of look at what I feel is good for them, and that's what I do in a session. Not only do I communicate, but then I do provide solutions. So we work together, and then practical solutions for the owner that they can do with their animal. So for long term, it helps. So it's like changes their life, improves it. With work, obviously we have to do that, and sometimes it might be more than one session depending on what it is, because
that was my next question. Like, what's the kind of average amount of sessions and the frequency as well?
Okay, and it's really, everything I do is so unique to each client in a way. So it's just like how I spoke about the cat that I had helped, how she'd move. Like I've basically worked with her quite frequently since probably May last year. It could even, I was doing it every week for a month, for 3 times a week. So I tailor it to whatever that client needs, really. that she needs my help. So we structure it that way. So I'll just do
Yeah.
a check-in 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Then sometimes I might only, I do like missing animals. I don't really take on many cases at the moment because they're a lot of work, but I've done quite a few of those.
Yeah.
So with those, they're more generally one-off, or they might come back with when they want help with something else. But generally, I find, they don't always. Although I've had a client, I've done 2 missing animals with her and all other sessions as well. So
I didn't even think of that, missing animals, actually. I didn't even think of that.
That's a big thing. And unfortunately, like, I get so many requests and a lot of people asking it for free, and it's a massive amount of work.
I can imagine. Yeah, and that's hard because you obviously want to help people, but at the same time, like, this is your career and your life and your time, and so it's like
spend a lot of money, a lot of time, doing my study. It's just like any professional; they get paid for what they do.
100%.
So
and women never ask for enough money. Like, we never put enough a price on our head. I think, like, that's what I've learned in business. Like, we just kind of, I don't know, we're proud of our expertise, but we need to believe in ourselves more and, man up like the guys
and we have to value ourselves.
This is what we're worth.
That's right. And I'm very big on, like, to become like an animal communicator and a healer. Like, I've done a lot of healing, there's a lot of things that I've suffered in my life as well. So I guess that also led me to where, I am. So to do the job that I do, I've also had to do a lot of and continue self-healing. And that sometimes is working on something every day. Again, like, I'm human like everyone else. But a healer needs healing I need healing as well.
Of course.
So I do it on myself as well. And we do need to value ourselves.
Yeah.
Definitely. Women do. And that's why it's good that, you're supporting women in business, right? That's huge.
Yes, I'm very big on that. I came from corporate and I know I had a couple of struggles with the people around me, and I'd go into meetings and I wasn't necessarily looked at because I had the big hair, the big boobs and the blonde hair and the long nails, and so I was seen more as like a joke rather than like having brains that I could contribute. So yes, I'm very, and there's enough room in the world for all of us to flourish, so no one has to step on anyone to get anywhere.
I totally agree with that. And I love that we can, embrace and support people. That's what I do. It's like building each other. I'm very into that, building each other up. So, and supporting each other. And, and that's what I really do with my clients. I always want them leaving a session where they're feeling better. That's the whole idea. Inspired, feeling better. I try to do that in my everyday life, inspire everyone around me. But in my sessions, of course, that's definitely what I try to do. And, people... Like, I've been working with a dog, and I've been doing healing sessions with him every week since July, probably July or something, like, probably longer, almost a year as well. Now, he had 3 surgeries on his back left leg, like ACL surgery. So his mum, like, I do a healing for him pretty much every week. Like, she just, because I have different packages, so she'll just buy a package and I'll just do that. And the difference, she even says, sorry? I interrupted you.
Oh, no, go for it.
Yeah, so
I'm sorry,
she notices,
I'm trying to look at like comments that people are leaving in case there's questions that
I was trying to look at that too. It's balancing it off. Yeah, and I love to talk. And I love to talk. So, well, you do too. We're here to talk, but I love talking about what I do.
Yeah.
So, she always, like, she'll send me a little email back. I like when I get responses back from my clients as well, but I know what I do works, but it's lovely to get feedback. Yeah. But she says, well, after he's had a healing, he's so active and lively the next day. Like,
It's very interesting.
So that works for him. But then on the other side, we've got healing where some animals, they need to be calming. So the energy healing helps balance on every level, if that makes sense, because he doesn't have issues with obviously the healing helps with his emotions, but the intention for his healing is more for his surgery, for the scarring and the stiffness that he had in his leg, and like, he's so much more agile now, and he loves rolling on his back, and like, that's what he'll tell me, I've been rolling on my back, I can do that. Now people might think that for a dog, that's why they live. Okay, that's huge for a dog to be able to do that easily. It makes me want to cry. It makes me so happy.
Oh, yeah,
It
I
makes me
can
tell
imagine. I can imagine. Yeah, no,
yeah,
that's
so
beautiful.
the frequency of sessions, the frequency of sessions are really unique to each client.
Yeah, yeah.
And I never say to someone, you have to come back, depending on what it is, but I might say another session might help, like I will leave it in their hands.
Yeah, yeah. So I've got Ina who's just joined, and she said, can you tell us what you go through when you do a healing session with a dog? So I guess, say if Ina came to you as a client, a potential client, what's kind of the intake process? What's the, like, how does the conversation flow, I guess, and then the next step of actions?
Okay, so I have my website, which people can book through there. That's how I primarily do it. Some clients like to talk to me first, and I understand that. I'm happy with some clients if they do like to have a brief conversation if they're not sure about what session, because I do offer, there's quite a few different ones. So I'm happy to do that, especially if they're a new client and they're not sure. So if they know what they want, though, they would just book through my website, and then they will get like a client question. So that will be sent to them. So I'll request a photo, what the issue is. So for healing, there's not really questions. Yeah. If it's just a simple healing, but I need to know the background information, what the animals, if they're taking medication, if they're seeing a vet. So I know all that because I keep all that, and it helps me, know what I need to do. Yeah. And then so they will book that, and that is all done by email. So with a healing session, I will use a photo, and it's a 30 minutes session. Yeah. And I will do it. So it's all done absently, if that makes sense. So I will just do it on the animal. They don't need to do anything. Like, this is not like I will just, I don't even indicate a day. I'll just be a time frame normally. So I try to get them done within 7 days, but sometimes I don't. Depends what's happening. Like right now I have an emergency one, so they kind of get put in front of the other ones, if that makes sense. Yeah. Because they need that. So that is a process. Booking, sending a photo, sending what the issue is, and then I will do the healing, and then email the information. Right. Okay. Okay. So it's quite straightforward on the client's end, I guess. Yes, pretty much. So then they'll get that little report that there will be information in that their animal, I do get feedback still in a healing. I just don't ask specific questions, if that makes sense. So if they want to actually ask why they're doing that, they'll need to book questions, like communication questions. Yeah, so the healing is very straightforward. And some people can feel when I'm doing it, they'll be like, I felt the energy, I felt it. Yeah. If you're sensitive to energy, they'll be like, I knew when you were doing it. I am when I'm picking crystals, because I have crystals at my desk and next to my bed, and I use them. And when I love crystals. When I'm picking them, I will hold them. And my partner thinks I'm crazy, but I'll hold them and I'll close my eyes and I'll either feel the energy or not. And if I don't feel it, I'll put it down and I pick a new one up. So I must look like an idiot in the mall, but well, maybe to people that are open-minded, I do, because I've done some crystal healing, and I do use, I'm wearing crystals now. So wearing my Moldavite, and I've used crystals as well. And even with my healings, I use, as well as the Reiki, I do use crystal, color. There's a bit of mix of everything. And I'm actually studying some other modalities as well with the healing with animals. So right. So I'll be able to add that. Yeah. Just before this disappears, I have to laugh at this. Garfield said, so could you tell my human what my pizza order is? She thinks I like. That's adorable. I'm pretty sure Garfield will have any kind of pizza. Garfield? As long as there's probably, as long as there's meat on the pizza, I'm sure. Yes, that's true. And I love that you love crystals too. Yeah, it took me maybe just the last 2 years, because I have an ongoing a liver problem, I guess, and it inflames really badly, and it puts me in bed sometimes for 6 weeks at a time, and they just can't figure out what it is, and it'll affect my kidneys, and then it just goes away. And it usually happens when I'm run down. And I was, 6 weeks into this particular medical episode that they couldn't figure out. And I was walking past the crystal shop on my way after the doctor. I was like,
I'm at the point where I'm just willing to freaking try anything because I feel shit. Like I was bedridden. And so, yeah, so I got my crystal and I, you know, that's when I started believing and I felt the energy and yeah, so.
Yeah, there you go. And
it worked for me.
So, yeah, crystals are amazing. I use them, yeah, like I said, all the time too, and they're amazing. And that's what generally happens sometimes. We're not getting answers for certain. Sometimes there's not a medical reason for something, even for a human or an animal. So that's why people will come to me, and it's an emotional issue. So that's where the healing, the Reiki energy healing, and I do it for people too.
Yeah,
I actually do. So that's where I come in, or practitioners like with what I do, energy healing can help. Yeah, because it's like there's no medical reason, but it's happening.
Yeah. I've just got sorry, the question. Oh, there. Oh, look at me. I'm learning new stuff. Okay, so I went back down. So we touched on this before, but because Ina's joined, she said, what sort of situations would someone take their animals for a healing session?
Okay. So it would, for healing, it would be if they've been sick or they're transitioning. So that means like they might be close to passing over. And and with a healing, obviously I'm reputable and a practitioner. So healing doesn't mean I'm going to heal it completely. Although that may be possible. If an animal's passing over, it's more to give them comfort and quality of life.
Yeah.
While they're during that transition.
Yeah.
When the dog had the surgery and she from the burn. So it wasn't for the burn that I did, it was for the surgery. So that helped with that. If animals are in boarding, like some clients contact me before they're putting them into boarding. So say like a week, or I might do it 2 days before to prepare them. So they have a healing while they're going into boarding to help them with a new member in the family, a divorce, any changes in the home. Healing can help with that.
Yeah, so if they're having any issues around their house with behavioural issues or something like that, which the owner can't tend to kind of put a spot on, or they've just started acting a certain way or changed in behaviour, you can help with that too.
Yes, we could try, depending on what people's budget and what they want to do, you could try doing a healing. Just a healing. There would be no questions. Like I come back, I do give feedback, but you don't get the option to ask questions. You would have to like that separately. But yeah, even that can just help with behavior, like it did with the 2 cats. I did healing only and they both settled in. So yeah, it can help with that. And I was going to say something else with healing. Oh, I can't remember now. But yeah.
You'll remember it tonight when you're in bed at midnight. That's what I
always do. But yeah, healing can help. Yeah, it can help. Like healing can help on so many levels. Balancing an animal that is kind of, too quiet and needs confidence, and then on the other scale, also an animal that is too out there, because what it does is it brings the body into balance. So I work the chakras. I don't know if you even know about that. So your energy system in your body.
Yes, I have. Yes.
Yep. Yeah. So I work with those with the animals as well. So, I'll align those. I do healing. I can add affirmations to a healing session. We'll maybe give that to the client and they'll need to say that for the animal. Yeah. Because it helps. There's so many. Yeah.
Yeah. So Ina's just saying you could do that for dogs with anxiety, which I imagine would be, one of your, where you could help a lot.
Yeah, because I have another dog that I've been, a little toy poodle, and I share him quite a bit on my social media too, Scruffy, and I help him with separation anxiety. He has healings, regular healings as well. So separation anxiety, and then he also has like a bit of digestion issues. And it helps with that. Like obviously there can be diet changes as well, and we've looked at that, and there's no issue. It's more it can help. So it helps him with that.
But that can also be, digestion can be a mental thing as well. So if you're helping, like that's what I said about like my crystals and things like that. Even if they're not actually working, my mind's saying that it's working, so it's helping my body relax and calm my medical issues.
Correct. Yeah. So if there's if a vet hasn't diagnosed anything, it doesn't mean there's not an issue, which is, and even if that a vet has diagnosed, I can still help in the sense of, even with doing a healing, because that always, energy can always help balance out the system in a, and it's
we're made of energy, so it's just about getting the right energy aligned. And
and then we balance it all out. So that's how Scruffy benefits. And then not only that, so because I'm teaching the animal to be more balanced and grounded, then it ripples into the family as well. So it does help everybody.
Yeah. No, I love that. It's very holistic, very holistic.
Very, because it's very like that. So it's good because people often wonder, like, I think I've got that on my shirt. Oh yeah, ask me more. I've got my animal communicator shirt on. Ask me more. Because it's like, sorry, I had to show that, because often it's like, ask me, because like people sometimes don't even know about us or what we do. And so it's like, I love it.
I imagine it's one of those industries where you would just have so many questions. Like me, I just had so many questions for you. I was just like, but how does it work? What does it, like, what goes on? And so
do you have a better understanding now?
I do actually. So I do. And it's something that I would participate in myself, because I do believe in, energy and healing that way and things like that. So I was just so curious to see if it worked the same for humans as it did for animals. And so, well, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate talking. I know we could talk all night. I know.
So,
I hope that it's helped everyone understand more about what I do, and it's a great service for people, like, even if it's not me, and of course I would love people to come to me, but it's also teaching people about animal communicators in general, so that they know, oh wow, what we do.
So Ina just said, where can I find you? What was that, sorry?
And supporting women in business. We like it,
100%. Well, Ina is actually someone that I met through my business, who's located in Canberra. And she's been a photographer, a volunteer photographer, actually, because I work with a lot of rescue organisations. And so, speaking of women in business, she's a pet photographer. So she's just saying, where can I find you on Insta? So what's your Insta handle?
It's Kelly's Animal Communication.
Okay, cool. I'll send you that, when we hang up here in a second, and I'll send you the info. So
and it's good, because following me on there, I share a lot of different stories.
I mean, you've got a lot of reviews too.
And that way it really helps people understand what I do by reading the reviews, because that's why I like doing it, because it's like, oh, that she can help with that, and because sometimes there's so many variations in what I do. And then people are like, oh yes, I have an animal that has that issue. I had no clue that there was someone that could help.
There's light bulb moments.
So that's why I like sharing it. So please follow me on there, and you can learn more about what I do.
Fabulous. Great. Okay, well, thank you so much for the chat tonight. We've got a couple of people asking for follow-up, so I'll send them your details, and hopefully they'll get in touch and chat more to you. So thanks for coming on, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you so much, Tatum.
My pleasure.
Sending you lots of love.
Good night. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.